Philadelphia Eagles fans, welcome back to the J All Day Sports Show. In today's episode, we're doing another 7-round mock draft, but this time we're doing our first mock draft with trades. Picking at number 32, I definitely see some opportunities for Howie Roseman to move up in this draft. There's a couple of teams that I'm targeting where they don't have a lot of draft picks this year. So Howie Roseman can package this year's picks and next year's picks to move up to land another impact player for our Philadelphia Eagles. We did that last year with Cooper DeJean. Obviously, it always depends on how the board falls, but there's some edge defenders and interior linemen that I'm targeting in potential trade scenarios. So let's get into this full 7-round mock draft with trades for the 2025 Philadelphia Eagles. Go Birds! Alright, Bird Gang, before we get started, if you guys can do me a huge favor, hit that like button. It really does help us get into the YouTube algorithm. And if you enjoy my content, please consider subscribing to the channel. We're closing in on 15,000 subscribers. That's thanks to all of you guys. Let's get into this mock draft. So, we're going to use the PFF mock draft simulator. I'm going to put it on a little above the slowest, and we're going to see how the board plays out. I think drafting in the top 10 is probably going to be too rich for Howie Roseman's blood. He likes to find opportunities where teams are desperate to add picks and kind of jump on opportunities, right? So we're going to start this draft and kind of see wherever Cam Ward number 1, Tet McMillan number 2, Abdul Carter, and then, all right, it's going a little bit too fast. So we're going to recap the first 6 picks. Ward, Tet McMillan, Abdul Carter, Travis Hunter, Will Campbell, Mason Graham goes to the Raiders at 6, right? So none of these guys I had on the players that I'm watching on my board, right? Because all of these guys that got picked so far by the AI, they're pretty much guys that we think are going to go in the top 10. So everything's kind of working out the way we want it to right now. Jets are on the board. They pick Luther Bird in the 3rd. Panthers are on the board. Malachi Starks. Saints on the board, Ashton Genty at 9. Ooh, it sucks for the Cowboys. Mike Green, he was definitely on our board, goes 10. Will Johnson, another guy that I was looking at. He's a big outside cornerback, 6'2", over 200 pounds. He had a really, really impressive career at Michigan. Injuries kind of derailed his season last year, but, as we're looking, we always knew that a guy like Abdul Carter is never going to get to us. So only real edge defender that went so far is Mike Green. So none of the interior defensive linemen have went yet. So the first team that I'm targeting is the Cardinals at 16, right? They only have like 4 or 5 picks, right? They don't have a ton of picks. And then the Vikings don't have a lot of picks either, guys. So the Vikings, they are picking at 24. And then at 16, the Cardinals, right? So let's see how these next few picks go. Cowboys are picking next. They went Tyler Warren, the tight end. Dolphins go Josh Simmons, the O lineman. At 14, Jody Barron, the cornerback. And now the Falcons are on the board at 15. All right, guys, if we take a look at the big board, go to interior. I like linebackers too. And then let's go interior defensive line and edge. That's where we're targeting right now. James Pierce Jr. is still on the board, but the Falcons are on the board. They're probably going to want to take him. Kenneth Grant and Walter Nolen are both on the board here, right? 2 exceptional players, man. Any one of these guys would be great for the Philadelphia Eagles. Considering Milton Williams is probably going to be gone, so will Josh Sweat. They're the exact same age, same height. Kenneth Grant's just a little bit thicker, right? So let's see where the Falcons go. The Falcons really need edge help, so I don't think they're going to want to trade this pick at all whatsoever. I thought that's exactly where they were going to go, James Pierce Jr. So that gives us an opportunity to move up against the Arizona Cardinals. I prefigured out this trade, so we're going to just implement that here, guys. So we're going to swap first-round picks, 16 and 32. We're going to give them pick 96 overall. And then we're also going to swap a 4th and a 2nd-round pick, right? 87% chance of being selected. And then we add this 7th-round pick. We're going to offer the trade up. And boom, it was accepted by the Cardinals. So now, Kenneth Grant and Walter Nolen are both on the board, 14 and 15 by PFF. But I do want to look at some other, scouts like Matt Miller, great guy at ESPN. He has Jalen Walker at 5. I watched the tape. I think 5 is a little bit high for me for this linebacker, but I want to see where he has the other guys on this particular. He also has Mykel Williams. We could add another Georgia Bulldog, right? Mykel Williams is definitely on the board. He's at number 21, according to PFF, right? And then 14 and 15 are Grant and Nolen on PFF. I'm curious where he has Grant and Nolen on here on his big board. He has Walter Nolen ahead of him. He was the number 1 high school recruit in the 2022 class. This guy's got great pedigree. He says 6'3", 293. He's put on a little bit of size since then, coming in at 305 according to PFF. I think he could be the guy, man. He is exceptionally talented, right? One of the best interior defensive linemen in this draft class. Walter Nolen is an absolute beast, man. Look at that run defense, 91.6 grade, over a 10% pass rush win rate. And this is what really matters. True pass set pass rush grade, above an 80 grade. Everything is top of the class, guys. This is a trade worth doing for the Philadelphia Eagles. Walter Nolen becomes a Philadelphia Eagle at pick 16. Now, we're going to speed this up a little bit and get to the second round. All right, Philadelphia Eagles fans, we're back in the middle of the second round. The Eagles have pick 64, but I do see an opportunity to move up in the middle of the second round, pick 45 overall, right? So we're going to swap second round picks 45 and 64. They're also going to throw in pick 115 this year. And then what we're going to do is we're going to trade a second round pick in 2027 for a fourth and a sixth round pick in 2027, right? So I do think this is a fair trade. PFF agrees this is a fair trade. So we're going to offer this trade to the Colts at 45. Now, we are up at pick 45. The guy that we're moving up to get is Princely Umanmielen, the edge defender from Ole Miss. This dude is an absolute stud. So is Jack Sawyer from Ohio State. So, who do we move up for? Is it Princely, the edge defender with a 91 pass grade, or Jack Sawyer, the edge defender from Ohio State? There's two great edge defenders here, guys. That's why I moved into this spot, right? I love this spot for the Philadelphia Eagles. We got Walter Nolen. Do we bring in Princely, his teammate at Ole Miss? Let's just take a look at some of the measurables. Run stop rate 8.6%, true pass set pass rush grade 90.9, pass rush win rate almost 23%. Jack Sawyer, he's good, just not quite as good, right? 10 sacks, 16 hits, 38 carries. Man, I don't know, maybe I just misspoke a little bit because Jack Sawyer is an absolute dog. Princely and Jack Sawyer, let's see where our boy Matt Miller has them. Princely or Jack Sawyer. See if he's on his list. Ezeraku, he's a super talent too. Judkins, I like him. Let's see. Jack Sawyer. Yeah. Jack Sawyer coming in at 41. Yeah. 54 pressures. Woo! Man, this kid is super talented, right? So you know what? I initially thought I was going to draft Princely, but Jack Sawyer, man. Let's see, 6'5", 260 compared to 6'4", 255, 22, almost 23 years of age. And then they're about exactly the same age. But you know what? I'm going with my gut. Jack Sawyer had some serious production, right? Serious production. And he took over games. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games with over 80 grades. Really impressive. 1, 2, 3, 4. He had 4 games with over 80 grades, Very, very impressive. Great game against Georgia. Didn't really have any bad games either. I don't think you can go wrong with any of these guys. But Jack Sawyer, the edge defender from Ohio State, an absolute monster, goes to the Philadelphia Eagles at pick 45. All right, Eagles fans, with those trades, we had no third round picks, so we move on to the fourth round. But we got two monsters, Walter Nolen, interior D lineman from Ole Miss, and Jack Sawyer, the edge defender for Ohio State. Woo, baby. Whoa, baby. We still got 2 4s and 2 5s left in this draft. So I think we're done with trades. We don't want to leave us hindered in other drafts. We traded up, got 2 absolute studs in the first 2 rounds that are really going to impact a team that has championship expectations next year. All right, in the fourth round, taking a look at who's available on the board right now. For the Philadelphia Eagles, wide receiver, guard, cornerback. Looking at cornerbacks here makes a lot of sense for me. Listen, Darius Slay might play one more year, but he's probably going to retire, right? And Cooper DeJean was so effective in the slot, I don't know if I really want to move him out of the slot. Keep Quinyon on the outside. So let's see if we can bring in another young cornerback to compete in this room, right? Zy Alexander, Huzzie, Riley, Burke, and Strong are the best corners left on the board right now, right? Alexander from LSU got hurt in 2023 because we can kind of throw that out. So 2 really good full seasons for the LSU Tigers, man. Coverage grade 81.8. Man coverage grade at 65. I don't love it, but they don't play a ton of man-to-man with this scheme that they're in right now, the Fangio scheme. So I don't necessarily hate this pick. I love his size too. 6'2", 194, great size for a corner, right? Huzzie, the cornerback from UNC, not quite the caliber of player. Quincy Riley had a big down year, so not for me. Denzel Burke, a big program. He's a very impressive player, but the completion percentage against him at 72.3% is extremely, extremely high, right? So for me, Zy Alexander, with his size, can learn from guys like Quinyon Mitchell, and going up against guys like Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown's going to make him better each and every day. I like this pick in the fourth round at pick 115. So we went defense side of the ball, first 3 picks. So now some offensive line. A tight end is definitely in play as well. Ferguson from Oregon, Evans from Notre Dame, Bringenstall from Clemson, Hawes from Georgia Tech. Some of the guys left on the board. Terrence Ferguson had a pretty good year. 43 receptions, 591 yards, 13.7 yards per catch. I do like this receiving grade of 77.3. I do like that. Not the best run blocker. Drop rate under 10%. I like coming in at 8.5%. Mitchell Evans, receiving grade only 65. We need a guy who could really consistently catch the ball. Yurosek from Georgia, no. Bringenstall from Clemson, no. Not a lot of talent here left. Jackson Hawes. This is a pretty thin year at tight end. I'm looking at all these guys. Nobody stands out. He's probably the last good one left on the board. Terrence Ferguson, late in the fourth round, goes to the Philadelphia Eagles. With Dallas Goedert's contract being up, Calcaterra's contract coming up at the end of next year, we need to add some depth to this room. Terrence Ferguson from Oregon goes to the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, coming up for the Eagles, they're picking at pick 161 and 165 in the 5th round. All right. So far, pretty solid draft, guys. We got Walter Nolen, Jack Sawyer, Zy Alexander, and the tight end, Terrence Ferguson. Maybe in the 5th round, we get some offensive line depth. Linebackers definitely interesting to me as well. So let's go offensive tackle, interior offensive line. Let's go linebacker. See who's left on the board here, guys. Cody Simon from Ohio State is a very, very talented linebacker, right? He is an in-the-box linebacker. Doesn't really line up on the D-line too much. So this is a true off-ball linebacker. I think this late in the draft, Cody Simon is a great pick. Played in a big program. Very, very talented guy. in the 5th round. And picking only a couple picks later, let's see who went in between our picks. Danny Stutzman from Oklahoma, I did like his tape as well. Jackson Hollis from Georgia Tech, and a running back. So not really positions that we would be drafting at. So now I want to bring in an offensive lineman for sure. Let's check out the tackles and interior offensive linemen. So most of these tackles late in this draft are going to be kicked into guard. John Williams is interesting because he's an excellent pass blocker, right? And if you could pass block really well, we could teach you how to run block a little bit. True pass block grade. He's an excellent pass blocker, John Williams. The tackle, 6'5", 320. He's got good size too. Connor Colby from Iowa. Interior offensive lineman, not the best pass blocker. And the true pass block grade coming in at 42. That's just not good enough for the Philadelphia Eagles, man. Tyler Cooper from Minnesota. Not really a great pass blocker either, right? Pretty good run blocker, but the pass block grade and the true pass block grade. So on passing downs, he's getting beat. I don't love that. Jack Nelson from Wisconsin. He's a pretty solid player as well. He's good all over the place. 6'7", 316. So Jack Nelson and John Williams is between those two guys. You know, not really a great run blocker as John Williams. Jack Nelson definitely seems like he's a little more of a guy who can do more things, right? Zone grade's pretty excellent in that zone run scheme. He can pass block as well, and he's a monster, 6'7", 316. Jack Nelson is the final pick for the Philadelphia Eagles in this year's draft, guys. All right, Philadelphia Eagles fans, that completes our 7-round mock draft with trades. The first one we did this offseason. We absolutely crushed it, trading up in the first 2 rounds to get Walter Nolen, the interior defensive lineman from Ole Miss, from 32 to 16. We did have to give up some picks, but I think it's worth it. And then in the next pick, even better in my opinion, trading up in the 2nd round to get Jack Sawyer, the edge defender from Ohio State, got us an A grade. And then I think we did really well with the tight end in the 4th round and Zy Alexander, another lengthy cornerback for the Philadelphia Eagles. And then we brought in Cody Simon, the off-ball linebacker, with the Nakobe Dean injury, guys. I don't think he's going to be ready for camp, so we need another linebacker body. And then Jack Nelson, a guy who can play tackle and guard at the NFL level, late in the 5th round, pick 165 overall. Listen, Eagles fans, I think it's going to be hard-pressed for the Eagles to bring back Josh Sweat and Milton Williams. So that's why I made those trades up to replace that production. Walter Nolen from Ole Miss and Jack Sawyer from Ohio State. Both had incredible production in college, and I'm hoping that can translate to the NFL level. Guys, if you like my content, please consider hitting that like button and subscribing to the channel. We're closing in on 15K. It's all because of you guys. Thank you so much. Go Birds!